Black children and the process of inferiorization. Black people as a collective are becoming increasingly sophisticated. We are becoming strong enough to face many unpleasant realities and truths about ourselves and the social system and world that we live in, without denial or panic. This ability to analyze ourselves, our behavior, and our reality critically is one of the signs of true mental health. Another equally important aspect of mental health is our full acceptance of the responsibility for reorganizing our own behavior in order to change things that are wrong. Black children are our most valuable possession and our greatest potential resource. Any meaningful discussion of the survival or the future of Black people must be predicated upon Black people's plan for the maximal development of all Black children. Children are the only future of any people. If the children's lives are squandered, and if the children of a people are not fully developed at whatever cost and sacrifice, the people will have consigned themselves to certain death. They will be destroyed from without or from within by the attack of their own children against them, and they may be destroyed by both. Black people now are being attacked in the streets by our own youths, as well as being attacked by our collective oppressor. This reality reveals the central questions of this essay, which Black people must answer. 1. Will Black children in the U.S. ever develop to their maximum genetic potential? 2. If so, who will assume ultimate responsibility for bringing about that maximal development, Black people themselves or white people? If Black children are not to be maximally developed, what do Black people really think is going to happen to this large Black underdeveloped mass of human beings? Are white people in any way looking to Black people for the maximal development of white children? In trying to understand precisely what is happening to us, let us be very clear about the following: the function of the encounter between the newborn child and the various elements of the social environmental experience which continues throughout the life of the individual is to shape and mold the newborn child to fit his or her predetermined social role. In effect, this is achieved by the total social experience acting upon the child's genetic potential. Any established social system has assigned social roles for every child born into the system, inasmuch as children are born to parents who already are occupying their place in the structured social system. Social roles are related most fundamentally to how much true power one will or will not have in a given social system. True power is the key factor in the determination of identity, which is the individual's relationship to actual power. In an oppressive social system, one's identity is either that of the oppressor or that of the oppressed. In a social system designed to achieve white domination, the experience of that system molds white children so that they may function in the role of the oppressors or the functional superiors. Through structured superior functioning, whites will be able to oppress others. The same social system simultaneously will mold all children classified as non-whites or others to play the role of the functional inferiors or the oppressed. This is why a white racist social system is completely incapable of providing total equality of opportunity to Blacks. Such a system must, for its maintenance, produce differential levels of functioning for whites and non-whites. If, for example, apparent equality is granted in the area of education, it is denied in family background. If it is given in income, it is denied in housing opportunity. If it is granted in healthcare services, it is denied in terms of father's income levels. If it is granted by law, it is denied through social practice, etc. We must stress the use of the term functional inferiority, which is in contrast to genetic inferiority. Functional is used because the genetic material of non-white children actually is not impaired, but the predetermined and established racist social experience is designed deliberately to destroy the genetic potential for social functioning. The destruction of non-white genetic material leads to the appearance of inferiority in the non-whites. To describe the social process by which Black genetic potential is destroyed, thus profoundly influencing the whole life experience of every Black child, the term inferiorization is used. Inferiorization is the conscious, deliberate, and systematic process utilized specifically by a racist social system, as conducted through all of its major and minor institutions, to mold specific peoples within that system into functional inferiors, in spite of their true genetic potential for functioning. Under the white supremacy system, the more melanin pigmentation present in the skin, and thus the darker the individual, the greater the inferiorization pressure imposed by the racist system. Thus, amongst all non-white peoples, Blacks are most victimized by this process. Particularly, darker Black people receive extreme victimization, even amongst Black people themselves. This skin coloration code established by the global white collective, like other methods of black subjugation, is essential to white genetic survival. This same code causes black people to say, "Don't marry anyone darker than yourself," preferring light-skinned persons as mates. Such socially imposed patterns of thinking yield the black infant its first direct experience with rejection and negation by the racist social system he or she is born into. This negation will continue for the entire lifespan. Simply, inferiorization means that through the structuring of thought patterns and social experiences, such as poor housing, poor healthcare, deteriorating school systems, broken families, and low income levels, a black or other non-white child, who could be a genius based upon genetic endowment, can be turned into a criminal who must spend his productive years locked behind the bars of a prison cell. Inferiorization deliberately turns a black child, who could become a brilliant universal statesman, a strong supporting father, and a loving, caring protector for his wife, into a drug addict. It turns a black female child, who could become a physician, scientist, and excellent mother, into a prostitute. It turns black parents who could be mature, supporting, loving, and kind to their offspring, into immature child batterers and sexual abusers of their own children. It turns some black teachers, who could love and educate black children, into teachers who hate and cannot educate. It structures the total social experience of black young people so that they believe it is cool and more important to smoke marijuana, use foul language, and learn to dance than to learn to read and become expert mathematicians. It turns black people into clowns rather than into true nation builders. It shapes many blacks who could give maximum service to black people into persons whose major concern is the accumulation of money and material possessions. It makes men care more about wearing superfly clothes than about learning to be excellent fathers and guides to their offspring, especially their sons. It makes black people see themselves as sex machines rather than builders of a higher humanity. This social process of destructive distortion is achieved through the imposition, from birth to death, of a stressful, negative, and non-supportive social environmental experience upon the people who are to be inferiorized. The negative and stressful social experience, which is smothered to affect every aspect of life activity, leads to the development of a negative self-concept, a loss of self-respect, and the development of self and group destructive behavioral patterns. Some of these negative behavioral patterns rampant among black people today include showing off material possessions, gossiping about one another, name-calling, cursing, squabbling, snitching, and being discourteous and disrespectful to one another. When these behaviors are directed toward people who are a reflection of self, they indicate self-dislike and self-dissatisfaction. The high rates of black male pneumonia, black people using drugs and selling them to one another, is another example of the same homicide and suicide pattern. All of these patterns of self and group negating behavior, in addition to many others, become the invisible chains and shackles around the necks and ankles of the black oppressed, holding all of us in a continuously destructive enslavement. With full justification, we can call all of these behaviors mental illness since they imply self and group destruction. These behaviors prevent group unity and efficient group effort. When parents, teachers, and other adults practice these behaviors towards one another, they teach children how to practice them also. Black children learn that black people do not respect each other, which also means black people do not and should not respect themselves. The children in turn will teach those of following generations how to disrespect themselves and teach others, thus how to remain oppressed. Inferiorization is essential to the process of oppression. It ensures that the oppressors need not be troubled to hold the oppressed constantly under gun and key to keep them in the oppressed state. It keeps the oppressed from effectively challenging the oppressive process and system. In this way, the oppressors mold the oppressed to share fully in the process of their own oppression. In the final analysis, the process of inferiorization is designed specifically to prevent the maximal development of the genetic potential of the non-white oppressed. Black people must learn that no system of oppression ever maximally develops those whom the system is specifically structured to dominate. Such a system only permits the oppressed to survive so that they can continue being oppressed. No system of oppression is structured consciously to destroy itself. The maximal development of all black people would prove false the ideology of white superiority. Thus, if black children and black people as a whole are ever to be developed fully, black people themselves will have to enact that development. Sufficient data and evidence are in. After 127 years of socialized emancipation, the white collective has demonstrated that it does not intend to develop black children maximally. Still, whites are talking about black children and black people as being genetically inferior to themselves, and they are developing extensive social policies based solely upon such a pattern of reasoning and logic. Instead of developing behavior patterns for further useless process, black people should be cultivating patterns of self-help for self-development. Since the black family setting is the first social institution under the racist system in which the black child begins to experience inferiorization, it is of key importance that all black people begin to understand: 1. The true function of family life; 2. How some of the most important aspects of inferiorization can occur there; and 3. That the black family is the one social institution over which we as black people can begin to exercise some control. Control of the black family will be evident once we gain some mastery over our individual lives. We will learn that dysfunctional behaviors can be changed through the exercise of willpower. Thus, within the family setting, black people can begin to alter the inferiorization dynamic and create a process for the maximal development of black children. The functional family unit is composed of the father, mother, and offspring. The ultimate role of this vital social unit is to instruct the children as to how adult males and females function, usually and harmoniously together for the maximal development of a people. Individual family units are but cellular units of a whole organism called a people or a nation. All of the units must function efficiently and effectively if the whole organism is to live a healthy existence. If a family unit cannot instruct the young in harmonious patterns of relating between adult males and females, then ultimately the people will perish, because adult male and female alienation eventually leads to the end of the procreative process. Without the young, the people will have no future. The process of instructing the young in harmonious, mutually respectful patterns of relating, as well as in appropriate and constructive patterns of functioning, is called socialization, the molding of their behavior for maximal development and functioning in a given environmental setting. The father's major task in relationship to the children is to teach adult male role functioning through daily example, with love and kindness expressed towards the children, love and kindness being essential to efficient learning. The adult male's major responsibility is breadwinning and protection of the family unit and the total people. The mother's major task in relationship to the children is to teach adult female role functioning through daily example, love and kindness. The adult female's major responsibility is child socialization and care of the home. These divisions of labor are fundamental and necessary for efficient and effective family functioning under hostile social, environmental conditions, and racism is a hostile and aggressive social environment. Today there is much yelling and screaming about such role functioning priorities, mostly by white women. However, we as black people cannot allow whites to continue to set our priorities. If we ignore these necessities as blacks, we will do so at our peril. And it serves well to remember that the intellectual performance of white children is directly proportional to the time their mothers have spent with them. In socialization during the first 5 years of life, while white fathers play the role of primary family breadwinners and family and group protectors, white power has been predicated upon white male aggression and breadwinning activity, while white females take care of fundamental home and family life responsibilities. Nature has endowed men with the greater muscle mass, which makes males more efficient and effective aggressors and protectors of people, just as females are more effective and efficient at giving birth and nursing the young. In the framework of any hostile and aggressive external environment such as oppression, the most important family unit member is the one to whom nature has given the greatest muscle mass to ward off external physical attack, should that ever be necessary. The racist social system has understood that the most potent method for oppressing and inferiorizing a people is to attack the family unit structure, thereby decreasing its ability to function as a fundamental unit for developing and socializing the young. If there is deficient socialization, the behavior of the young will be chaotic and disorganized with dependent, weak, and immature personality structure. This can be accomplished best through attacking and weakening the family unit's primary support and ultimate defense, the adult male. Females can be controlled by male oppressors once the males of the oppressed group are weakened and/or destroyed. This is true no matter how many college degrees the females may have, no matter how tough, loud, or coarse their language may become, no matter how strong they may appear. In the final analysis, females must depend on the physical strength, discipline, and willpower of their men for ultimate protection. Thus, always the males represent the major potential threat and challenge to male oppressors. The system of racism in the U.S. specifically has labeled its number one target of attack as the black male. The black male is not only to be intimidated and oftentimes physically destroyed, but more importantly, he must be destroyed functionally through the negation of his major breadwinning activity. For the black family, when men are not permitted to become the major breadwinners and true functional protectors for their families, a major imbalance is created between the importance of the adult black male and adult black female roles. Likewise, the importance of male functioning is discredited and thus subtly disrespected. As a result, chaos and disorganization derails family life, leaving the family as a dysfunctional survival unit where mothers are forced to engage in full-time breadwinning and protector activities and are not free to perform their major tasks of childcare and socialization. The subsequent imbalance produced between the money power and the pseudo-social power of the black female when compared to the black male eventually leads to alienation between the two of them. This alienation, followed by separation and/or divorce, causes the imbalance that leads to the now epidemic black social pathologic syndrome, the so-called strong black female and weak black male. The fundamental cause of the syndrome is the white supremacy power system. Also, this system leads to the black male womanizing syndrome, wherein black males seek to compensate for a lost sense of manhood by attempting to prove they are still men via the number of women they can seduce and conquer. But this syndrome only heightens the alienation between the black male and female, and it fails to convince the male of his manhood. Increasingly, black females are being left alone to rear the children. They, along with the myth of the so-called strong black female, are crumbling under this impossible burden. Nonetheless, the survival units become dominated by adult female presence, and all of the children are feminized, males and females alike. Even when there is no physical separation or divorce, a relative black male passivity is produced, leaving an overall tone of greater female power than male power amongst black people. This analysis should not be viewed as a condemnation of the black male or the black female. It is only a description of the intent of the oppressive system of racism. Most profoundly affected are black children who grow up in this system, especially black male children. Black male children systematically are deprived of strong male models through whom they can develop pride, useful self and group supporting behavioral patterns, and true respect for the black adult male position. Large numbers of young black male children can tell you that it is far easier and more rewarding to be a black female than a black male. The racist social system can survive only if black manhood is destroyed. It steadily has removed strong black male images, such as those presented by Malcolm X and Martin Luther King Jr. Initially, it replaced those powerful, progressive, and constructive images with the powerful television and movie images of Geraldine and Superfly. The racist media then followed with the message to blacks that it is good times to see a pathetic black adult male who never can seem to find a decent paying job and a teenage black male son who is a clown and a criminal shoplifter who never studies, but who now has an intense interest in academic subjects. Innumerable like examples followed. These weak black male media images persist into the present. We return to the pitiful times of real life to face the fact that the average college-trained black female has a salary scale only $300 lower than her white college-trained counterpart, whereas the black male college graduate earns $3,000 less than the white male high school graduate. All of these factors are responsible for the now epidemic proportion of black male passivity, effeminacy, transvestism, bisexuality, and homosexuality, the root cause of which is the racist system's necessity to stamp out black manhood through distorting the dynamics of black family life. Black people should not view these patterns of behavior as isolated criminal or immoral acts. They must be recognized as the byproduct of social political warfare against the maximal development of black people as a whole. Black people can begin to halt the process of black inferiorization if the new dysfunctional female-dominated survival units can be turned into true family units. A balance must be established between the adult male role of breadwinning and the female role of child socialization, with equal respect maintained for both roles. This cannot be accomplished by males attempting to force females to walk 7 paces behind. Neither can it be achieved by males forcing females into silent submission. It can be achieved by black males refusing to remain content with less than adequate breadwinning roles. Thus, all black males will have to refuse being passive, dependent, and female-supported to any degree. They will have to demand from the oppressor and will to achieve the right to be equal breadwinners with white males before white or black females are given equal breadwinner roles with white males. There must begin a black men's liberation movement for salary and job opportunities equal in all respects with that of white males. As a collective, black males must realize that they have been fooled into believing that white females are their most loving allies. While white females are luring black men into bed and to the altar, the white female collective is depriving black men of their opportunity to function fully as breadwinners and not just as sex machines. Black females must begin to struggle to achieve the opportunities enjoyed by white females, to stay home while being adequately supported by their husbands, to provide adequate socialization and needed care and attention to the children. Black females must not be fooled into believing that a women's liberation movement is their salvation. They must cease believing in the myth of the strong black female who is capable of doing everything all alone. Black females must understand that we always will be oppressed, as will our sons and daughters, unless black men are liberated to defend themselves, black females and black children from any and all attacks and results. When these fundamental issues are placed in perspective, when black men and women are struggling together for these objectives that have everything to do with the development of black family life, black male children will be able to grow up respecting themselves as future men. Thus, they will recognize the purpose of disciplined study to achieve academically, and they will cease desiring to be females. Black female children will grow up respecting themselves as future women, supported, protected, and respected by their own men, and they will learn to respect black men as men. Focusing on these external common objectives, black men and women will be freed from the present destructive competition with one another and will, instead, learn to work as a team in order to compete successfully with their common oppressors for the maximal development of themselves and their children. But black people must not only commit themselves to combating inferiorization through the struggle for maximal development, we must, as a part of that struggle, begin to establish standards of academic achievement and codes of behavioral conduct for black children. These standards and codes will serve as the fundamental basis for developing black self and group respect. Without true self-respect, all efforts for achievement will be in vain. In keeping with that goal, all black children, before the age of 6, should be taught the following fundamental exercises in black self-respect by black adult examples in the home, school, church, and neighborhood. 1. Stop name-calling one another. 2. Stop cursing at one another. 3. Stop squabbling with one another. 4. Stop gossiping about one another. 5. Stop snitching on one another. 6. Stop being discourteous and disrespectful towards one another. 7. Stop robbing one another. 8. Stop stealing from one another. 9. Stop fighting one another. 10. Stop killing one another. 11. Stop using and selling drugs to one another. 12. Stop throwing trash and dirt on the streets and in places where black people live, work, and learn. With this behavioral foundation and self-respect, black children would be taught that academic achievement is the highest priority. Each neighborhood should give annual awards for the children in each age group, based upon public performance in reading and math achievement. This would indicate to black children that knowledge and information are the important bases of power, along with self-respect. Additionally, by age 6, black children must learn that black people, as a nation, do not look highly upon young people fathering and mothering black children before they achieve emotional maturity and are capable of completely caring for the new black life. Making a baby should no longer remain the criteria of black manhood or womanhood. Black manhood and womanhood should be determined solely on the basis of one's ability to be self-supporting and to function effectively under the pressures of white supremacy. These objectives are only a beginning, but they can be achieved if every black adult views himself, herself, as one of the many parents of all black children. These parents must assume responsibility for the maximal development of each and every black child. That responsibility can be expressed in as simple a manner as never displaying to any black child any form of self or group negating behavior. In effect, this practice will teach the child the most important lesson of all, that black people respect themselves.